I have a feeling of all of my guests, you definitely have the greatest idea of what risk sounds like in practice as being a bomb tech. Come on. It's like, what was your previous profession? I was a professional dog walker. Okay, well, worst that happens is rabies, I guess. I don't know. Josh's
It's
worst
it's
that happens is he doesn't come back. That's wild.
not right. It's one of those things where it's either I was right or it's just suddenly not my problem anymore. Um,
Yeah.
but
Right. Right.
but it is one of those things where over the years after that, it's been many times where I've had a rough day or things aren't going right at work or whatever it is, where I've kind of sat back and like, all things said and done, you know what? Nobody died, right? Like that's a big
Hmm.
one for me as far as keeping perspective as well. No matter what industry or career field I'm in, that I've really taken away from that experience in my life.
So there's a great sense of personal risk and risk aversion for family reasons, and I applaud you for that as a fellow dad of two. That those those two little ones become a pretty high priority pretty quick, and and making choices like this. I was telling my wife about this the other day that I don't know that I could be doing what I'm doing today if we had had kids longer ago because I'm in my
Hmm.
40s and we had kids a little later in life. And looking back, I'm like, man, I making those big career shifts and not having a huge network yet and taking that leap and dive earlier on with kids would have been really tough for me, really, really hard. And so anyone that I'm talking to that has gone through that with
Hmm.
kids and making such a career leap, I massive kudos to you and huge applause for betting on yourself. So again, I applaud you for that.
Definitely appreciate that. Thanks, Adam.
So as far as how you went through the process of evaluating that, to maybe give some advice if the listener is someone who is at that same, crossroads of, I don't know, am I ready yet? Like, do I have everything in line? Is this a wise choice? Like, how did you process that decision? Did you sit down and do a budget, or did you sit down and just say, "Hey, I've got this great support network around me. We're never going to starve." Like, what boxes had to get checked that made you feel like, yes, there's risk, but the risk is greatly mitigated?
Yeah. Honestly, it was a minor budget. I want to make sure that I could put food on the table and keep the lights on for that 4 months. But that being said, too, there was multiple times where I had done that previously, and I'm like, maybe I could just prepare a little more. Maybe I could do this a little better. I'll wait a couple of months, and a couple of months turned into a couple of years. And again, I don't regret that. It brought me to where I'm at. But if there's anything I could say, prepare the best you can. There's never going to be the perfect time. Do the best you can and take the leap because it really does pay off in the end. It might not seem like it for the first few months, maybe a year, who knows how long. Everybody's journey is, unique to themselves and their experiences. But the reality is it is worth every second and every ounce of effort you put into it because again, I wouldn't change it for the world. And it's opened up so many doors,